All right, let's dive into the high-stakes finale of Geoffrey Treace's Q for Treason. In this explainer, we're jumping straight into those last nail-biting chapters. Our heroes, Peter Brownrigg and Kit Kirkstone, are in a race against time to save Queen Elizabeth herself from a deadly plot right in the heart of Elizabethan England. We're starting right in the thick of it. Peter is up on this treacherous mountain path, and he's in a desperate life-or-death struggle. See, he's just escaped a secret meeting of traitors, but he was followed. The quote says it all. It was his life or mine. This isn't a game anymore. The stakes are absolutely real.
So Peter, completely exhausted and beaten up, finally makes it home. But he's not just bringing himself back. He's carrying a secret so massive it could rip the entire country apart. And yeah, that secret is about to bring a full-blown siege right to his family's front door.
I mean, the sheer size of this conspiracy is just staggering. This isn't just about one guy. We're talking about a plot to completely overthrow the government. First, they kill the queen during a play. Then they start a rebellion up in the north. And to top it all off, they invite a Spanish invasion. All of a sudden, the fate of England is resting on this one kid's shoulders. And talk about bad timing. Just as Peter is revealing this whole terrifying plan to his family, who shows up? None other than the villain of the story, Sir Philip Morton. You remember him, the landowner who's been Peter's enemy from page 1? Well, now we know he's a major player in this treason plot, and he's not there to chat. He's there to grab Peter and make sure he never speaks again. But here's the thing about the Brownrigg family. They don't give up. Not a chance. These are tough farmers, and they basically turn their house into a fortress. Their plan is classic, smart, and totally effective. Barricade everything, get boiling water ready, and rely on Peter's dad, who happens to be an incredible archer with his old longbow. It's an amazing show of courage against a way bigger force. And you can just feel their determination. When Sir Philip's men try to use a log as a battering ram, Peter's dad puts an arrow straight through one of their hands, pinning it to the wood. Then he gives this chilling warning. The next shot is for Sir Philip himself. Heart or throat. He's not just defending a house, he's defending his whole country. But look, they know they're on borrowed time. They can't hold out forever. They have to get the message to London. The only way out is this tiny little window in the dairy. It's a super tense moment, but somehow Peter and then Kit manage to squeeze through and disappear into the night, leaving their family to hold the fort while they race to find a magistrate. Okay, so Peter and Kit are out. They've escaped the siege, but their journey is oh so far from over. They've found a way out, but now they desperately need to find someone they can trust. And in the slippery world of Elizabethan politics, that's easier said than done. So they ride to the town of Keswick and find the home of a well-respected magistrate, a Mr. Armthwaite. And you can just imagine the relief, right? They pour out the entire story, the plot, the names, the assassination plan. They're convinced he'll send a rider to London and that finally, they've done it. And this is the question that's been hanging over this whole story, isn't it? They've put all their faith in this one man, this official of the law, but did they just make a huge, fatal mistake? Can you really trust anyone in power? And the answer comes in a flash, and it's absolutely devastating. Just as Mr. Armthwaite reaches for a bell, supposedly to call for a messenger, Kit figures it out. His nervousness wasn't fear of the plot, it was fear of being discovered. He's one of the traitors. She whips out her pistol, and just like that, their safe haven becomes another trap. With literally no other choice, they pull off another daring escape. They lock the traitor in his own study and steal the 2 amazing horses he had waiting for himself outside. So now they're not just running for their lives, they're fugitives, wanted for stealing horses, and the entire conspiracy knows exactly who they are. Their only real hope now is to outrun everybody. They decide to avoid the main roads and take a risky shortcut across the wild, empty Yorkshire moors. But as you can imagine, a lonely place like that has its own kind of dangers. And you know, sometimes the cleverest plan backfires. While they're crossing the moors, they run smack into a group of local miners. These are rough, desperate guys. They're not part of the political plot. They're just thieves who see 2 kids on some very expensive horses. This is where things get really, really dark. The miners overpower them, take everything they have, and then they have to figure out what to do with the witnesses. Their solution is just horrifying. They plan to march them over to a nearby pothole, this deep, natural crack in the earth, and just push them in. Problem solved.
So Peter and Kit are literally being marched to their deaths when all of a sudden the miners freak out. A group of riders is coming up fast. The miners bolt, leaving Peter and Kit behind. It's a miracle, except it's not. The person who just saved them is their archenemy, Sir Philip Morton, still hunting them. In the craziest twist, the man trying to kill them just accidentally saved their lives. Peter and Kit dive for cover, escaping Sir Philip for the moment. And it's here, hiding out in the woods, that they run into the absolute most unlikely saviors you could ever imagine. This leads to one of the most creative showdowns in the whole book. So who do they find in the woods? You're not going to believe this. It's the traveling acting troupe they used to work with in London. It's this amazing reunion, but it gets cut short real fast when Peter and Kit explain the danger they're in. The Queen's life is on the line, and Sir Philip's men are right down the road. I mean, just look at the matchup here. On one side, you've got Sir Philip with armed soldiers, real weapons, and brute force. And on the other, a handful of actors with stage props. But what the actors have is cleverness and guts. And their leader, Desmond, comes up with this absolutely brilliant theatrical plan. And this is where it gets so good. They don't fight force with force. They fight it with performance. The actors get into costume, grab their fake stage weapons, and use trumpets and drums to sound like a much bigger army. They march out and confront Sir Philip, and Desmond gives the performance of a lifetime as a captain of the Queen's Guard. Sir Philip is totally fooled, and in all the confusion, he and his men are captured. It's genius! So Sir Philip is captured, which is great. The immediate threat is gone, but the clock is still ticking. The assassination plot in London is still happening. So the actors give Peter and Kit their fastest horses, and our heroes start this desperate, non-stop ride to the capital to stop it. Look how close they cut this. They get to the palace as the play for the Queen is already underway. The assassin, an actor named John Summers, is just waiting in the wings. His signal is the sound of a stage cannon. Well, the cannon fires, and in that exact moment, Peter and Kit burst in and tackle him, literally a second before he can fire his real pistol at the Queen. The plot is stopped right at the last possible moment. And so, exhausted, covered in mud from their ride, Peter and Kit are brought before the most powerful person in England, Queen Elizabeth I herself. And in the end, justice is served. Sir Philip and the other traitors are punished. The Queen, who is super impressed with Kit's courage, takes her under her personal protection, and when she asks Peter what he wants as a reward, he only asks for one thing: give back the common land that Sir Philip stole from his village. The Queen grants it, and Peter's journey ends with justice not just for him, but for his whole community. And the story really leaves us with this powerful question, doesn't it? Peter risked everything for his queen and his country. The actors, who had nothing to gain, risked their lives for their friends. It really makes you think, what does loyalty truly mean? And what would you be willing to risk to prove it?